Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the popular activist and supporter of the Peter Obi Labour Party Obedient Movement, Maureen Cabrick. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much, Charles. I've been a fan of your show for a very long time, and it so happens I'm here on it today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed for obliging us with your presence.
My pleasure.
We've got literally 2 days before this campaign season comes to an end. What's your message to the Nigerian electorate out there?
My message to the Nigerian electorate is very simple. It's what I've always told, the citizens of Nigeria who are desirous of a change, that Peter Obi is the man for every one of us who has that courage of conviction. Peter Obi is the man for us to all go out there and vote for. For me personally, I chose Mr. Peter Obi because that's the mandate I chose to stand on. I chose to stand on the mandate of a man who can stand by himself. The mandate of a man who is speaking to us, on the mandate of a man who is showing enormous courage, on the mandate of a man who is not afraid to come and sit down with you, Charles, and discuss issues with you, burning issues with you, on the mandate of a man who can, who can discern things for himself, on the mandate of a man who is providing solutions to all the issues that are bedeviling us in Nigeria today, on the mandate of a man who says, do not vote for me because I am an Igbo man. And also do not vote for me because I am a Christian, but vote for me because I have all that it takes to serve you and unite this country and put this country back on the path of growth, on the path of consumption to production. So we have decided, and my message to every Nigerian out there is we have this particular moment to seize and end an era of impunity, end an era of disregard of citizens, end an era of, so much of corruption, end an era of where the people who were selected, not elected, get into office and they do not have any regard for human lives. To choose to go to that poll and choose a man who has brought himself to the people, who has said, you are running for the office of the president through me. I am here to serve you. Hold me accountable. These are my past records. He put it out there. There's no media, mainstream media, that has invited Mr. Peter Obi to come speak to them that he hasn't shown up there. He has offered himself to us. And so I urge Nigerians that just as Martin Luther King says, he wants to believe that people will go to the polls making that sound choice that will end this establishment of the APC that has offered us nothing but chaos, pain, suffering, anger, sorrow. And it is time to say, we the people are taking this power back to where it rightly belongs to, and that is the base of the citizens of this great country called Nigeria.
Well, you certainly sound very passionate about this. Now let's look at what could get in the way of that ambition that you've got. There are more than 93 million registered voters, but just over 74 million have collected their voter cards. And that's about 80% of registered voters. So there are nearly 20 million voters who didn't pick up their PVCs. That's quite a big number, isn't it? A big chunk of people who will not vote. How concerning is that for you?
For us, yeah, it is concerning. But if you look at also the statistics released by INEC, they told you 18 years to 35 years, 39% of that demography has picked up their PVCs. And I tell you clearly that 39% and also about 33%, which falls between the age of 35 and above, there is a critical base out there that is demanding for a new Nigeria, which they have come to say is possible. And I tell you, from those two demographies, and I also speak about the silent voters, that silent voters that forms now the older category. There's so many of them who do not come out to speak about issues, and you can't blame them. Because like I said in one other TV station that, Nigeria is a very cruel country that goes after people when they speak up and do not speak for the establishment and do not speak for the seemingly party that is in power. The establishment goes after them. So there's quite a majority that is also trying to find their voice. People like us, whatever happens, hey, we're ready to, pay the ultimate price because it's something we have said we're going to do, and we've put ourselves out, in the front lines. So if you put all of those percentages added to the silent majority that aren't saying anything, but have found a choice in Peter Obi, trust me.
Right.
We're going to, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, just listening to you and looking at some of the other evidence, many young people feeling much more engaged in this election than arguably any other in Nigeria's history. Many of them feel that this is about them. And your preferred candidate, Peter Obi, really hoping to capitalize on that. Is that what you hope might tip the balance of this election in his favor?
You see, this change has been on the horizon. But, we're people who never learn from our history. And as a young child, my late dad, whom I was so close to, may he so rest in peace, he died, a year and a half ago, And
I'm sorry to hear that. You have my sympathies.
Thank you. He is someone who has been in the political space. And since I was little, I remember my father buying newspapers, taking us to school. And he gives it to us, we read, and we, so for me, I became a bit politically aware, and if there's anything I've learned over the years is that we never learn from our history. This change has been in the horizon, but the people in power ignored it and they called it noise making. And it only just took a man like Peter Obi having the courage, having the strength of character to come out and the conviction to say that even if I'm going to run alone without anybody's support, I'm going to dare and I'll put myself out there. And these young people, with all the energy they have in them, with all their quests for a shift from the old order that has brought them nothing but pain, anguish, and sorrow. They were killed by the establishment, by the people who they call their moms and dads. They went to Lekki and opened fire on them. We have been victims of the government on the streets here in Abuja, where, we have police, even during the NSAS, we would have been the first casualties, because right in front of National Assembly, the military was sent in on one of the days we came out during the NSAS. And they would have actually, leveled a few people down there, but unfortunately, Lagos paid the big price. So they didn't get the anger. They always say it's just social media noise. And I say, I live on the streets. You live on the streets. Arise News is on social media. So what is social media? Social media is people who are from the streets, who have found a community, either on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and where they come and discuss burning issues. The mainstream media takes its news today from the social media. So there was a rising anger that they totally refused to acknowledge, because in their usual ways, they refuse to learn their lessons because they tell you it's mere noise. That mere noise now has turned into a proper demand for good governance, and the young people are speaking out loudly.
But looking at you, listening to you, as I said, you sound quite passionate about your politics. I wonder how disappointed you would be if Mr. Obi doesn't, assuming
we're winning, so I'm not going to be disappointed.
He wins.
No, we're winning.
Because the reason I'm saying this is that I've heard a lot of people who are placing a lot of there's almost a messianic zeal about him.
No, it's the media that puts that out. We always say there's no Messiah out there. For me, the faith I practice, there's only one Messiah.
Right.
And I don't see him as a Messiah, but I see him as a man who is competent, who has got the character,
but obviously that needs
who has
to
got
be
the capacity.
Right, but that needs to be tested on a national level.
Yeah, that's where we're at. That's why we're in the
But I've heard people saying that this election, if he wins, will pave the way for Nigeria to be great again.
Absolutely.
Do you believe that really, beyond the sort of the hope and the fantasy and all the rest of it? Do you believe that given the many challenges this country faces, so many people who have no jobs, no health care, no good schools, terrorism, insurgency, banditry, that he's going to come in and it's all going to disappear?
You see, but he's shown that, sense of sincerity. He has sat down in so many media houses and he's spoken about his desire to even just, see Nigerians grow from
but
where
all
we
the
are.
other candidates
No, they haven't. I
haven't
seen the candidates of the PDP come sit before you. I haven't seen the candidates of the PDP
Well,
appear before you in Arise. Aside from the interviews,
right,
like all those debates, maybe once or twice.
Well, he was actually interviewed by Arise. But not as many times, in fairness, as Peter Obi has.
I haven't seen the candidates of the
But then some would argue that Mr. Obi needed to do more work than the other.
It doesn't. They're all vying for votes. We shouldn't give excuses for any one of them. It's like someone coming to look for a job at Arise TV, and he doesn't want to send his CV to you guys, and he doesn't want to submit himself to you, Charles, or any other person who wants to interview him, and he tells you guys, oh, the CV I gave you guys is good enough. You either employ me or you don't. Are you going to employ that kind of a person? So that's what we have before us. So we have before us a man who has a proven track record. And for many times, as he has appeared either on this platform or other platforms, he says the famous line, go and verify. I am yet to see anyone who has disproved anything that Mr. Obi has put forward. So what more do you want to hear from someone who has got that much sincerity in him to want to do his very best for a country that is at the brink?
Right.
Because today, there are so many challenges, and that's why he says security, unity will be topmost for them. And that's why you hear Senator Datti tells you the day we are announced as winners, which we see as 26th February or 27th February, we will stop the killing and start the healing. I can tell you, I hear the sounds of joy all across Nigeria because the healing will indeed start. So the issue you think might be after they are announced as winners will not be there because the healing begins.
Okay, well, beyond the slogans, and I say that respectfully, I mean, we've got about 30 seconds left. What's the game plan from here? The election is on Saturday. Yeah,
we're fully ready. We're fully prepared. Everyone knows what to do. We're all going to be polling unit agents on that day.
And you've got enough polling unit agents across the country?
Absolutely. Don't forget also ADC, has shown its weight and support behind Mr. Peter Obi.
A splinter.
Yes, and they have
a splinter group from
and another party, Boots Party. Today, before I came into your studio, I learned have also thrown their weight behind Peter Obi. Yeah, people were talking, oh, we don't have enough polling agents, but we have 134,000, over 134,000. ADC has over 96,000. Put that together, we have the highest polling agents. The rest of the parties have about 176. We have about 239 going into 240,000. We even have more than enough. And then don't forget, all of us that are Peter Obi's supporters, all of us that have said we are ending this era of impunity, this era of mind-boggling corruption, of senseless killings, of banditry, of terrorism. I've been out on the streets since 2014. And this is the time that we are taking our rights fully away from the establishment. I tell you, we are all going to be polling unit agents and we're going to have our eyes on INEC. INEC has better be prepared for the election that is coming because we know that on 26th or 27th, Professor Mahmood Yakubu is going to announce Mr. Peter Obi and Senator Datti as the presidents and the vice presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed for coming in. Maureen Kabrik is a popular activist and supporter of the Peter Obi Labour Party obedient movement, as if I needed to say that. Thank you very much indeed.